Pranakasha live stream. Hey folks, it's Matt of Pranakasha Productions, and today we are talking with Rishi Arya, who I know from In Other Words, which is the best rom-com on the entire internet. The only possible movie that might be better than it is Divorce Bait, which is by the same team of producers and directors, which is Patrick Perez Vidauri and his wife Cristina Nava. But anyway, so right off the bat, folks, I don't know if you know this, if you haven't brushed up on your Sanskrit or Hindi, Rishi means a seer, as in somebody who can like see into the future type of thing. So like when you go to bed at night and you have dreams, you know, when you wake up the next morning, do those things actually come true?
That's a loaded question. Thankfully, no, they don't all they don't all come true. But I do have a lot. I mean, I'm only bringing this up because I see all the stuff that's
Well,
crowded in your space.
it's hard to see, but here we have Shiva, the
Yeah,
Nataraj,
yeah, I could see
and
that.
then here it's really hard to see, but we actually have Krishna. You can
Hmm.
barely see, but Krishna is there dancing
Yeah.
right in front of the Star Trek communicator, and then my Air Force chevron from back in the day. Let me
Wow.
see. Actually, here we go. If I risk having everything fall down in a giant
Right.
card castle coming down, but this is Krishna.
Yes.
That's definitely Krishna and his flute. And then we got the Bhagavad Gita right here.
Right, which I still haven't read. Have you read it?
Oh yeah, I've chanted it.
Wow.
This isn't actually the whole Bhagavad Gita. This is these cards that you can buy, whereas each card is a different verse, and then it's got some really cool artwork for each one. So it's got the
Like,
most well-known verses in it.
I feel like this whole episode could just be you teaching me about my own religion.
Well, I did actually take Sanskrit at the UW,
Yeah.
but it's one of these languages. It's like Latin, where even after like studying it for a year, like I still, if I were to go like try to translate a verse from like the Bhagavad Gita, I'd
Mhm.
still have to get out my textbooks, you know, and kind of just go through it, you know.
No,
But anyway.
I haven't read it. I haven't even been to India yet.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So we haven't. So you're actually born in Canada, right?
Yeah, Montreal, Canada.
Okay. Do your parents speak Hindi?
They do. Yeah, my dad is from India. My mom's from Kenya. But there's a lot of Indians in here. Yeah.
Oh
So,
wow.
but yeah, so they speak. And they've gone back and forth. But they lived in Canada now for like at least
Right.
40 years.
In Vancouver, right?
Montreal.
Oh, Montreal. My cello teacher lives in Montreal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I take cello lessons once a week via Zoom.
Okay. Have you
Yeah.
been to Montreal or no?
What was that? I just cut out.
Oh, have you been to Montreal?
No, but I want to because I also speak French, so it'd be fun to try out my
Ah, me too.
French.
Okay, we can do this thing in French maybe.
Oh, vous parlez français, monsieur?
Oui, c'était mon langue maternelle.
Oh,
Yeah.
très bien. Of course, il y a un accent un peu bizarre parce que, you know,
Avec quoi?
je sais le parisien.
Ah, ok, je
Vas-y.
comprends. Mais c'est aussi comme juste un Américain qui parle
Just an American, okay.
un
So,
anglophone.
okay, so folks, we were just, you know, I was saying, well, the accent in Montreal is kind of weird, and the French I learned was Parisian French in high school, and then he was saying, well, it's kind of an American accent, is what I got, and
Right?
anyway,
Well, it's interesting because I think the Quebec accent, it's kind of like the redneck French accent, is sort of
okay.
it's what they sounded like. It's actually the original French accent.
Oh,
So they,
interesting.
right? It's just frozen in time from back then.
Okay.
Then they evolved, sounded different, you know. So that is what they originally sounded like, is
Oh, I
what,
didn't know that.
yeah.
Interesting, because when I hear the Quebec accent, I'm like, what in the heck are they saying? I can barely understand them. Huh, interesting. Wow, that I learned something new today. Okay, so before we go on, folks, I'm going to show you a clip of the rom-com we're talking about, which is In Other Words. So let's watch that clip right now.
Till you experience the kind of love that punches you in the gut, you haven't become a true man.
Remember what we practiced. You see a pretty girl in there? You imagine that girl's head on a turkey, twerking.
Yeah, it can even help even the most awkward person find love with just a simple touch of the boobs. I was gonna say.
He's created the perfect app that finds the perfect match for anyone.
I doubt it could find a match for me. I'm a man of bizarre pleasures.
Sometimes I get nervous.
Don't be nervous. No hablo inglés.
You don't speak English? She gave me your address.
Yeah!
But she doesn't speak English. How does that work?
The less she can understand you, the better.
Let's go to Mexico, bro!
This is a surprise visit?
Hola.
Close on this girl today and we go home. We don't have time for this lost in translation crap.
Tenemos nada en común, estúpido.
True.
True.
Don't say my name.
True.
No. Hey, don't say my name!
In other words,
So that was it. My favorite movie of all time this year, which is, in other words, and
Nice.
then Mr. Rishi Arya G. Maharaj.
Right, yeah.
Was
The one.
the-
I don't know how you knew my middle and other names too.
What is your middle name?
I have Rishi is actually my middle name. My first name is Bharat.
Is what?
Bharat. Bharat.
Bharat. Like,
Yeah,
oh, that's like from Mahabharata, right?
Yeah, which
Bharat means country, doesn't it?
I think so, yeah. I never
Or
go by.
king. It might mean king. I
Yeah.
forget.
I'm glad I didn't use that name because then people would have just called me Borat.
Yeah. There already is a Borat out there that's
Yeah.
famous, so he would steal all your thunder.
Yeah, so I had that.
The only
and that-
Rishi you have to complete with is the Mahesh Yogi.
No, there's Rishi Sunak, the Prime Minister of London or whatever.
Oh, well, yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he won't last long.
He's
Somebody
an
will
ex-guy.
vote him out, and then you'll reign supreme
Yeah,
for
I could go.
decades after.
Right.
Oh boy! So you got to play the straight man,
Yes.
the business guy,
Yeah.
and then you got to bounce off of Brian's comedic role.
Of course.
And then was that the first time that you'd worked with Joe Nunez?
Yes. First time I worked with both of them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're also a stand-up comic too, right?
Yes, I do stand up. I mostly do stand up.
Okay. So it's
Yeah.
funny that you had to be the straight man in this movie.
Yeah, but I mean, even with a straight man in any comedy is still you still have to have comedic timing. It's not always, goofy. If anything, a lot of people that do you have to be a very good actor to do the goofy stuff.
Uh-huh.
A comic playing the straight man is actually kind of perfect, because what does a comic do on stage? You're mostly just complaining and explaining. You know?
Okay.
And that sort of is what a straight man does. Like, they're kind of there to point out the absurdity.
You know what? That's a good point. Like Seinfeld basically plays the straight
He's the
man
straight
all the
man in
time on his
Seinfeld.
show.
Yeah.
Yep. Just kind of says the occasional snarky, sarcastic comment, and then kind of looks at people funny.
He's pretty much doing stand-up in his show. But
Right.
like someone like Chris Farley, he was not a stand-up comic.
Okay.
But he's a very good actor. He
Uh-huh.
does all the goofy, big physical stuff,
Interesting. And of course, we have Jerry Lewis.
Yeah.
The classic physical comedy guy, and Steve Martin.
I did a role to Jerry Lewis that I did. I
Oh,
don't know if
really?
you're familiar with the play Boeing?
Oh,
It's a role that he made famous, and it was a very goofy, physical ball all around the role.
oh,
I had
cool.
done that in New York City. It was one of the productions from the Stella Adler studio there.
Okay. And then you said you live in Toronto, right?
No, I live in Montreal.
Oh, Toronto. Oh, you know what? If we got the other part of what we were talking about,
Yeah.
I get Montreal and Toronto mixed up. I think my cello teacher lives in Toronto.
Okay, they're very different places.
Like, they're both on the other side of the
I go on the
continent.
East Coast, but like Toronto's very American. Like it's not
Oh,
even Canadian. Like when you go to Vancouver, it's Canadian. Alberta is Canadian.
Okay.
Toronto is very American, and then Quebec is not very Canadian. Quebec is very European.
Right. Quebec's its own country. Aren't they threatening to secede from Canada all the time?
They've been, yeah, that's like their identity, and they just keep talking about it. And it's not going to happen, I don't think, at this point. But
okay,
like when you go there, there's cobblestone, everything is in French. Like the immigration there is different than kind of the rest of North America. It's a lot of like European people who go there whose country of origin has French as a first or second language.
Okay.
So, and whereas Toronto's a bit like Chicago. Like you go there, you kind of feel like you're in the States.
Okay.
So
like, because it is quite near. I mean, it's basically on the same latitude as like half of Michigan.
Yeah.
So okay.
They just have a lot of industry there, and they're just kind of going for that. They're just going for that identity, whatever it means.
Okay. And then nowadays, a lot of shows are shot in Toronto too. A lot of U.S.
shows.
Yeah,
like some shows are shot there, and they say, "Oh, it's New York City," but it's Toronto.
Yeah.
So
interesting. So, like, when you do your stand-up, do you do it in English and French?
I can't do it in French. I speak French, but at this point, I mean, French was the first language I learned when I was a kid. But by the time I learned English, I must have been like 5. Like I haven't really looked back from that. And I think in English, so I do stand-up in English. I know comics in Montreal that are doing stand-up in French because that's where kind of like there's more money in that. The population there is more French, so they kind of had to pivot towards that. That sounds like a nightmare to me. If I had to like do all of this again in another language, even though I know the language, it's a different sensibility. It's a totally different
right. Like certain things would be fun. Plus, you're catering to a different crowd, basically. So the humor is different.
Yeah, and it would probably all be accessible there because I don't think French Quebecers necessarily have the same humor as the French in Belgium or the French in France or you know what I mean? It might just really just for that little niche of As far as I know, I could be completely wrong, but no, I'm just doing it in English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So back to, in other words, so did you guys do a fair amount of improv in that movie, or was it mostly off?
Not really. Some lines here and there, yes, we do a take here and there, but no, we pretty much stuck to the script.
Okay.
I mean, and this happens with a lot of movies where it's like, you know, it's a big endeavor to do a feature, and it's like, okay, maybe we'll do some takes of improv, and it's like you just never have that time. We're losing sunlight. The AD's pressing on that, you know. So it's like, you end up just doing the script. Maybe you make a few of the lines your own. But for me, I mostly just stuck to the script, and also when you're doing, you know, I think if you're doing maybe a smaller role, you can have room for that. But when you had like pages like we had, like or Brian or myself, like you're just trying to stay a few days ahead. So you're really just working on the script. You know, also throw in, you know.
Plus, Patrick told me that he was shooting it about twice as fast as your typical movie. So you guys are going through way more script per day than you usually would have in a movie.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, the higher budget the movie, the more time they kind of waste.
Okay.
Like, spend a whole... Man, I remember one of my first experiences, my parents, they own a bowling alley.
Okay.
And, they were shooting this Nick Nolte film there. It's called Adler. It's a big movie. It was like got nominated for an Oscar. So it was I was like 8 years old. I'm seeing that there. And they were shooting there like for 20 hours, the whole day. And at the end of it, I saw the movie. That was literally, it might have been 10 seconds of the movie.
Wow, 20 hours for 10 seconds.
Yeah, where they just did like a little panoramic shot of them around it. Background. Basically, the bowling alley is nothing more than an extra, and they spent 20 hours shooting that scene. But it was
that was a little garbled, but I think I caught most of it.
I don't know.
So you said 20 hours of shooting, and it ended up to be 10 seconds in the movie.
Basically, yeah. I mean,
sometimes what that happens is that they were intending to use a whole lot more, but it just didn't come out, so they cut out most of it.
Even still, it was one. Now I look back at it now differently. It was one scene. It was one scene. It could have been more than 2 pages.
Okay.
And It's the same thing with commercials. Sometimes you do when I do like a high budget union commercial, you're shooting all day, and then you see the commercial at the end. It's like
30
seconds and nobody's talking in it.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
Of course, a lot of times, I mean, they spend hours trying to get the lighting right and all that kind of stuff too. Yeah. Interesting. Wow. Okay.
But no, this movie we were working. We were really, which I like. I honestly kind of enjoy that more because as an actor, and especially if you're playing a character that's kind of like, has a bit of an art, you're in it. Whereas if I'm just going there, I'm going to spend all day saying 3 lines. I'll just end up eating a lot of snacks and sitting around, and know. So it kind of, I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that aspect of it.
Yeah. Well, from what I gathered, just talking to Patrick and watching his movies, he's just a really with it director. So he knows how to be efficient and create what he wants and work with the actors in a really good way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he doesn't need to take a jillion takes. He's able to see what he wants and see what's good and then move on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I like that too, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
Could be. Where are you at in the world? Are you in
I'm
California?
in Seattle. Yeah.
You're in Seattle, okay.
Yeah.
I've never been to Seattle.
Oh yeah, I should come out sometime. It's pretty
I
cool.
I hear really great things about it.
Yeah, I mean, like we got homeless people everywhere and
That's
anarchists blowing stuff up. It's great.
It's like that here too. Though. We have a lot of homeless people here as well. So I'll feel right at home, ironically.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
When you say, "Can you hear me now?"
Yeah. We're here with Rishi Arya on the test call. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you.
Are you sure?
Whenever you ask,
can you hear me now?
That's the only time I can hear you.
Well, okay, very good. Let's continue on. Okay. Yeah. So, tell me a little bit about your stand-up. Like, what's it like when you do that? Do you do the same stand-up routine every night, or do you kind of make it up as you go, or
a little bit of both? You do a bit of both. The longer you do it, like you just have an arsenal of jokes that you do. But I don't know. A lot of different comics, they work their own way. For me, before I go up, I have to see what the vibe of the room is. What are people laughing at? What are other comics doing? I don't want to do a joke that's similar to another comic necessarily. And then when I go up, I kind of just, like, I did 2 shows yesterday, and I started each show saying, like, I'm surprised you guys are here, not home watching The Last of Us. Yeah. And then because of that, somebody reacts like, "Oh," and I was like, "Oh, this person forgot it's on today." And it's like, and then that went into talking about like Netflix, how they're stopping password sharing. So it really just depends on so if I'm doing a show tonight, I'm not going to do that, obviously.
Okay. So you interact with the crowd then? Yeah. Because I know some comics, they just get up there and you can tell they're just going through their routine, and you can tell they're actually terrified.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, this dude doesn't even really have a connection with their audience.
Being a comedian is kind of weird because some of them are like, I'm a performer.
Okay.
I do write my material, but like I'm writing my material as a means to an end to perform. Some people are performing to get a gauge on their writing. It's like a different thing, and they're just using stand-up to get into a writer. I know people that have been doing stand-up who I started with, they don't do it anymore because they got into their writer's room and they're done. They just they got to where they want to go, and they're funny.
Okay.
It's the best gauge. Stand-up and even improv, even though improv is improv, it's not written. That immediate feedback is the best gauge on your writing. Like David Mamet talks about that. He learned everything for writing by doing improv. That's what made him scene structure, what the audience reacts to, then he applies that to his writing.
Interesting. Because, of course, Steve Martin went the other direction. He was a writer before he started, or was he already doing stand-up while he was writing?
I assume he was doing stand-up the whole time.
Okay, and it's just that he made it big after that. Okay.
Yeah.
Though him, for example, he doesn't strike me as being really that good of an improver either. He seems to have sort of a canned routine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at least that's what I detect from him. Like when I've seen him in interviews and stuff, even in the interview, he came off kind of stiff, in my opinion.
Right.
You
So
know?
the guy, he's like, he likes to be prepared.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm the opposite. If I prepare something, it's not that good.
Okay.
Like I have stuff prepared, but I need to sort of get into it. Like I kind of try to go on the journey with the audience. If
That's
that makes
exciting. I mean, that's how I do my podcast. Like
And it's
you and
also
me.
like not being afraid to fail. A lot of people are kind of
Right.
like, I don't mind if I have a bad set. And
Yeah.
ironically, that I don't really have many bad sets because of that. You
Yeah.
know?
Plus, if you're authentic, you can probably throw a joke out there that totally bombs and just say, well, that one bombed. Sorry, guys. Let's
Not
move
even
on.
sometimes a joke bombs and they don't notice. It just bombed to you.
Ah,
But if they laughed at 5 jokes before, they didn't laugh at one, they laugh at the 5 jokes after. They're not gonna know, like, oh yeah, he did a joke and I didn't laugh at it. They're not gonna, you know.
or if you say something that's a joke that ends up, you can tell you just offended half the people in the audience.
Right. I mean, that can
Then
happen.
how do you recover from that typically?
Dude, sometimes I mean the longer you do it, the more you learn to just kind of move past it almost because I that used to happen in my early days. You would do a
Okay.
joke and like they hate it, like it was some sensitive thing, and then
Uh-huh.
you would kind of have to acknowledge it. But sometimes acknowledging it is worse
Okay.
because it keeps them there.
Okay.
Whereas I could just go on, I could maybe make one comment that gets a laugh and just move right into another story. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I find if you're staying, and it's different strokes for different folks. Some people, some comics are like, no, if I'm bombing, they'll double down and they'll double down, and then sometimes they'll get a laugh on the other side of that
Okay.
because the audience just can't believe that they're, you know. So I understand that tactic too. It really
Or
is,
else people will start throwing stuff.
right. I don't know, people are pretty polite. Yeah,
I assume you saw Blues Brothers, right?
of course. I mean, I saw it was very good.
I'm thinking about that cage scene in that one
Oh
bar.
yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Did you see
Um,
Brothers 2000?
yeah, that's a while ago. I mean, I'm talking about the original Blues Brothers, which came
No, that
out
one.
like in the 80s, I think.
Yeah.
There's that scene in that one bar where it's just like the nightmare gig of the century, where they're in that cage and then people are constantly throwing beer bottles the entire time. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, we just derailed a bit. So, so how long have you been doing stand up then?
Well, like 10 years.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
And you
decade.
do it like once or twice a week, or
I'm doing it like almost every day.
wow?
I had to do like the scheduling with this because sometimes I'll get an offer like, hey, can you come out tonight to do a show? And a lot of the times that happens.
Okay. Is it always at the same venue?
No, different venues. I go on the road, I go out of town, I'll do
Okay.
a bunch of stuff, yeah. Like here we have a ton of clubs in LA.
Okay.
Perform pretty much at all of them except two, really. that
Okay.
I'm not really in with.
Oh,
I
so you're in LA right now?
I'm in LA, yeah.
Okay. Oh, you told me that.
Yeah.
Okay, but you grew up in Toronto.
Montreal.
Montreal, oh, Canada, it's all the same.
Yeah. Well, one big same place.
All you got to do is say A, you know? A?
Yeah. I don't even know. Do you? But I feel like everybody says A.
I say A, you know, like
A,
Fonz,
that's like
like
Fonzie.
Matthew A. Hardinger. Nice show, but anyway. Actually, Henry Winkler lived in Vancouver. I don't know if he still does.
Probably
But
not.
my sister used to play on the street in Granville Market in Vancouver, and she said Henry Winkler would come up and throw money and talk to her for a while and stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. And then, of course, Eckhart Tolle lives there.
Oh, wow.
Oh, so you know who Eckhart Tolle is? That's
Yes, I read his book. I think it was The Power of Now.
this book right here.
Yes, that's the one I read. Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Okay.
you
Well,
read-
no wonder we're grooving because we are into the same kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm more recently. I feel like the pandemic kind of got me into that stuff because I was meditating more because I had the time, I had that luxury.
Ooh, so you are a Rishi.
Yeah, I've started doing that.
Can you sit in full lotus?
It's not good for my back. I feel like my back kind of hunches over.
Yeah.
I'll sit in a comfortable. I have like a, one of those bucket relaxing chairs with the cushions, and I kind of
Oh, what the hell, man? You gotta at least sit on. So you don't sit on the floor or anything on a cushion. Just
I've done it, but also I find it's bad for my ankles. Like my ankles press all the way to the ground. I don't know if the pain
yeah.
is supposed to be part of it, but
It is actually the pain. The challenge of sitting on the floor is kind of part of at least the classical yoga and classical Zen is that you're supposed to kind of suffer through it.
right.
And of course, if you grow up in India, everybody can sit on the ground anyways because they're used to it.
Yeah.
But if you're like a Westerner, you're sitting on the floor is usually a big challenge if you're
Yeah, I
not
feel
a
like my
kindergartner.
back is hunched over, so it's like I
Yeah,
start to pain in my back. And man, we used to sit on the floor a lot in theater school. It would give you hemorrhoids. Sat on the
yeah, I
floor.
could. Okay.
You know.
Well, it's so funny. I was just talking to another podcaster just today. She's actually an ordained Zen priest.
Wow.
And she just did a week-long Zen workshop. So the first thing I asked her was, "How do your knees and back feel?"
Yeah.
And she's like, I feel terrible, man. I'm dying."
Yeah.
So even then, I mean, even if you're good at it, if you do like one of these all day, all night type of things, it's kind
Well, I
of
went to
crash
over
you.
the holidays. I went to Kurpalo. I don't know if you heard of
Oh, okay,
Kurpalo.
I know what that is.
Yeah, I went
Wow,
there
I know what that is. I knew a guy who was really into that.
I can see that. It was amazing. I went there
Yeah.
for 2 days, and it was just meditation, yoga all day, every day,
Uh-huh.
little lectures, and you disappear in there, man.
Yeah.
Like they know how to they kind of lay down. You have different bolsters everywhere, blocks everywhere. You're just
Right.
meditating their chants. The food is really good, and you know,
Yeah, I don't know if you can see my sign back there, but like one of my comedy routines on my YouTube channel
yeah.
is the internet shirt yogi.
Okay.
So
Internet shirts.
it's the yoga of the conquest of internet shirts.
Okay.
But it's pretty high class actually because I call it Pranakasha Pustakali Yusukajit Yoga,
Mhm.
which is the Sanskrit is correct because I know Sanskrit. So, I mean, obviously nobody's going to get it unless you're a Sanskrit scholar,
Right.
but it really does mean the yoga of the conquest of internet shirts.
That seems awfully specific. Of internet shirts. What do you mean by internet shirts?
Well, like what happened was my wife was giving me shit because I was starting to get these Facebook ads for shirts, cool looking shirts, and I was starting to buy them.
Right.
So she was like, "You're addicted to buying those shirts. You got like a whole closet full. You don't need any more shirts." And then I was like, so then I had this idea that I should take my addiction and turn it into my path to enlightenment. And so I created internet shirt yoga. And then soon after that, I decided I was the internet shirt yogi. And then I just ran with it, made a video about it. And then now every once in a while, I throw up some kind of quote and then I say, "Conquer the shirt." And then I say, "The internet shirt yogi."
I do understand that temptation because I see those ads.
Yeah.
And I bought a few in the past, and then I stopped. Like I already have so many clothes I'm not wearing.
Right. This entire backdrop is an entire closet full of internet shirts that I bought,
Yeah.
plus a bunch of Star Trek stuff and a guitar and a whole bunch of other crap. But yeah. So, but see, the funny thing is, I'm making fun of yoga, but at the same time, making fun of yoga is like Jerry Seinfeld telling Jewish jokes.
Right.
Or like Eddie Murphy telling black jokes, because I actually am a yogi,
right?
So I can make fun of it, and because I'm making fun of myself, And actually, what I tell people, if you look deep enough in it and you understand yoga, you'll realize I'm not really making fun of yoga. I'm making fun of most people's misunderstanding of what yoga is.
Right.
Because really, yoga is all about, meditation, which is basically going into the silence.
Yeah, because the yoga we do here in the States, that's like power yoga.
Yeah, it's all physical. Everybody thinks yoga is doing a bunch of asanas, right?
Yeah.
But that's just hatha yoga, and that's just supposed to be to keep your body in shape, but it's not really the point of yoga. The point of yoga is if you want to go into it, it's It's yoga. Okay, I can pull this out. Yoga chitam vritim. Yoga chitam vritti nirodha, which is Patanjali's yoga is the stilling of the waves of the mind.
Right.
Right. I didn't say it quite right, but it was close. So yoga really is basically what Eckhart Tolle says, which is to find the space of silence, or he calls it to find presence.
Yes.
Once you find true presence, you're in the space of silence. Yeah.
Are you meditating every day?
I used to meditate for hours on a day. Like I also sat in full lotus for like 1 or 2 hours a day.
How does that do with the circulation in your legs?
Well, that's the point, is it cuts it off. And so what it does is it kind of redirects the prana and the energy into your spine. So, and your legs fall asleep. And I found that it did make my back hurt until what I started doing was I would switch. So one day I would put one ankle on top, and then the next day I'd put the other ankle on top. So that way it kind of balanced out my spine. And then that kept my spine from getting too freaked out. But that was back in the days when I thought yoga was just to blast as much energy through your entire system as possible and just keep cranking the heat up as much as you can, and until you literally go crazy, which I almost did.
Well, I've known 2 people. They meditated so much they kind of had like a Kundalini awakening. Or whatever. They'd sleep for days.
I know lots of people who have had. Well, the yoga that I did, they would do just weekend workshops, and then they would always be talking about awakening your Kundalini, and people would have all kinds of Kundalini type of experiences.
But do you think is that like good for you? Is that something to aim for, in your opinion, or no? Is that like a bit too far?
Yes and no. I mean, the thing is when you awaken the Kundalini, you've opened up a Pandora's box.
Yeah.
So, like I got to the point where it was so strong, I wanted it to go away, and I thought I was going crazy because it was just my whole body and my whole mind were literally on fire. I couldn't sleep at night, and I was having all these visions, and all these emotions and energy was flowing through me, and I'm like, can we please turn this off?
Yeah.
After I'd spent decades literally trying to stoke it as much as I could.
Yeah.
Until I finally realized that I'd reached a point where I couldn't handle it anymore. And I'm like, and I also realized, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I know how to fan the flames, but I don't really know what the hell I'm doing, really. So then I asked it to back off. Then what I had to do is I had to go do therapy for several years, because here's what was happening is, for me, the Kundalini was just so hot that it was just pulling up all my crap. And it turned out basically my biggest obstacle was just some pretty basic childhood imprints that could have easily be solved by therapy. I had 2 choices. I could let the Kundalini try to literally burn it to a crisp. Meanwhile, I feel like I'm going crazy. Now, I might have made it through the other side just doing that process, but it certainly was not very pleasant. Or I could go do therapy and just work it out through just plain old talk therapy. And so I did. Luckily, I took the second approach. And then after that, everything cooled down. So like now I don't even, like when I meditate, I don't get the Kundalini going nuts. I just have silence. And I just go into the space of the heart. And the thing is, for me, I don't even have to try anymore. I can just go right to it. Kind of like how Eckhart Tolle says, you just go, there you are, in 2 seconds.
It's slowing down the heart rate. I'll get in and I'll feel my heart going, and eventually I don't even notice it's beating. It slows down so much.
Oh, so you kind of go into kind of a samadhi type of thing.
I suppose. I mean, it's just like kind of intuitive. It's not necessarily on purpose, but
yeah. Well, what I realized is this whole Kundalini thing and like blasting your chakras and all that. I mean, it is useful at a certain point in your sadhana. But at another point, it's so easy to get so caught up in it that it's like, what's the difference between that and going off on drugs? It's not that much different.
Interesting that you mentioned that, because I don't, like, I'm sober, I don't drink, and I don't smoke. I mean, I'll smoke weed here and there. I haven't done it in over a year.
Right.
But I'm noticing the more I'm meditating, the more I kind of start entering a disassociative state that reminds me of, let's say, smoking weed.
I think it's very similar because, for one thing, if you are doing yoga, a purification of yoga, it's going to be releasing toxins that were in your system.
Right.
So you are, it's almost exactly the same thing as doing drugs, because it's bringing that stuff back in and it's activating the same parts of your brain. And it can be really fun. I mean, it's very similar to doing drugs as far as I can tell.
It is kind of addicting.
Yeah, you can get addicted to that. And then the thing is also that can cause you to just check out, and you're just completely checked out, just like a total pothead.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So if that's the case, is it quote unquote bad to meditate too much?
I would say yes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't meditate 2 hours a day anymore. Now I just do like Eckhart Tolle, and I just, whenever I think of it, I just kind of go into the silence for a few moments, and then basically the silence is always there for me.
That's what it's funny. That's what Jerry Seinfeld does.
Oh, really? He does that too? Okay.
He has TM.
Oh yeah, I know what that is. Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with that, but he says, it goes just whenever I get a moment, just a few moments.
Yeah. Transcendental meditation. Well, those are the guys who talk about levitation and all this stuff. In fact, that's the Maharishi Yogi.
Mm-hmm.
TM is.
At all. I just know, like, sometimes they use a handkerchief, but I don't really know much else about it.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, for a certain, you know what I mean when I say sadhana, right? Do you understand that term?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. So sadhana is sorry, guys. Sadhana is a Sanskrit term which just means basically your spiritual practice or your spiritual path.
I kind of felt like it just meant like your journey.
Or your journey, yeah, you could call it your journey. Sorry, we were talking technical for a sec. Anyway, your journey. So that's part of your journey. Again, I mean, in the end, it's so simple because it's just finding the space of your, well, here's my experience. What I tell people, okay, here's part of my comedy routine, is internet shirt yoga is great. It can get you 99% enlightened, but the last 1% is a doozy. Internet shirt yoga can't do the last 1%. So I'm only 99% enlightened. Right. So, but if you're 99%, you can at least go to the heart and just.
Well, to me, that last percent is probably just dying.
Yeah. Well, the other way I'd say is that here's another thing I like to say, which is actually what I actually believe. It's not really comedy, but that enlightenment is kind of like the speed of light. Like, you can never reach the speed of light. Mm-hmm. You can get to 99.999% of the speed of light, but you can never be 100% of the speed of light.
Yeah.
At least according to Einstein, and if you don't have warp drive. Yeah. Okay. Same thing I say with enlightenment. You can never become fully enlightened. You can only almost be there, you know. Right. So, especially if you want to remain being human being on planet Earth. Like, So this whole thing about internet shirt yoga, so that's part of my routine was, well, I'm only 99% enlightened, you know, because I'm a mere internet shirt yogi. I can't get that last 1% in there. But anyways, even so, it's it's so simple because you get to the space of the heart, right, which is pure silence. But then out of the silence comes love. And peace, of course. Actually, what I usually like to say is that out of the silence, the quality that first emerges is peace. Yeah. And silence and peace are almost synonymous. And then out of the peace comes this sense of great love. And then also in that space, if you listen to it in a sense, you can become aware of this feeling. This is how I like to say it. You become aware of this feeling of kind of a sound. It's not a physical sound, but it's a feeling of a sound, which is kind of like, or like ah, or and that's what they like to call om.
Interesting.
You can, at least for me, my experience of what I'm claiming as om in my heart is a feeling of a sound that's more like
Kind of like a satisfaction feeling.
Yeah. It's there. And the crazy thing is, you would think if a person found that space of silence that they would just become all the time silent and still, like a Zen master type of thing. But at least for me, what I've discovered is if I just spend a second or two in that space, when I come out, my mind is so energized that it just flies, and all this creative stuff flies through my brain.
Interesting.
But it doesn't carry me away like back when I was felt like I was going crazy because the Kundalini was so hot and plowing through my system when I thought I was losing it. Instead, now, because I'm anchored in my heart, I can always just instantly go back to my heart, to the silence for a second or two, and that's all it takes, and then come out refreshed, and then my creative brain can go in all these directions and do all these great things.
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. And plus, I can swear, say all the most foul shit, like crazy. And people are like, and you're 99% enlightened and you swear like a sailor all day long? And I'm like, yeah, I can just say it because it doesn't defile my soul in any way, because they're just powerful words which work really well in the appropriate situation. Like sometimes if you say, that's just a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
There's times that's the thing to say. That's the most effective way to address the situation at hand, So, and I'm sure, like when Jesus was alive, walking on the planet, I'm sure he would point at someone and say, you're completely full of shit.
Yeah.
Why don't you wake up and freaking take your head out of your ass? I'm sure he spoke to people in that direct way.
But like an Aramaic.
Yeah, in Aramaic. Yeah, the Aramaic version of it.
Yeah.
He probably, and also Hebrew. I'm sure he spoke Hebrew as well. So it depended who he was talking to. Anyway, now we're on a different subject, but so I'm really interested in your comedy routine. Now that you said that a lot of it you just kind of do off the cuff.
Yeah, I mean it's off the cuff. It starts, but I do still have a storage of jokes. I'm like, okay, now I'll bring this one out, and it kind of will always seem like I'm discovering it in the moment. Whereas there are comics who you can tell they're performing their writing. Like, this is joke number one. Which is fine as well, but I kind of prefer the more I don't want to say more performative, because there's that too, where some people have no jokes and they're just really bouncing. I don't really do that.
Okay.
Find the middle ground between.
Do you have any videos of your routines?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, do you have it? Send me links to them, and then we'll put them in the comments or in the video description.
Okay. Yeah. Great.
Yeah. And if you want, do you want me to just feature one right now? Kind of how we just did. In other words,
like a little clip or something.
Yeah, I'll just edit it right in.
Yeah. Okay. Why not? Let's do it.
Okay, we're gonna watch one of Rishi's comedy routines right now, folks.
No matter what country I'm in, people always think I'm the immigration they hate there. Like, I was in Italy and they all thought I was Arab. I lived in Germany, they thought I was Turkish. I visited Israel, they all assumed I was Palestinian. Some people think I'm Mexican here. I used to get Dominican when I lived in New York. Like, I'm wondering what people will think I am when I finally make it to India. I'll get there and they'll be like, you're Pakistani, we don't like you. I do feel like white people in LA are more Indian than I am. Like, they're all doing yoga and they put Hindu symbols on their cars. Like, white people might gentrify neighborhoods, but we gentrify their souls. Speaking of traveling to exotic places, I was recently in Boston. Anybody here from Boston? All right, screw that guy, right? From Boston, because Boston's not here. I used to go to Boston all the time when I lived in New York. I would take the Chinatown bus. It would go from Chinatown, Boston to Chinatown, New York for $15. You know it? Yeah, it's called the Funghwa bus. And they shut it down. And if you Google Funghwa bus on the internet, the first thing that pops up is Funghwa bus accidents. And there's a whole Wikipedia page of all the accidents the Funghwa bus has been in. And you know it's their fault when one of the accidents is when two Funghwa buses crashed into each other. Like they were in love. Another one is when a Funghwa bus spun out of control and it crashed into a Chase bank and it murdered an old lady. Well, it didn't murder her. It killed an old lady. And everybody had to exit through the back windows. And 15 people broke their ankles. 15! Like, imagine being that 15th guy that broke his ankle. You're just standing in line like, nah, it's not gonna be me, I'm gonna be fine. It's like, ow, 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 ow! But the whole outside looks like that scene in Kill Bill where she lopped everyone's leg off. It's like, ow, 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 ow! Okay, it's my turn, ah! Got Ken Shamrocked. This past May, I celebrated 7 years sober from alcohol. The hardest part about being sober is living the life I made for myself while I was drunk. It's like I'm my own Freaky Friday twin. I got caught drinking and driving. It was at a police checkpoint, and the cop just asked me, have you been drinking? And I was like, yeah. Because I didn't know the magic of lying to cops yet. I was like, yeah, you want to give me the breath thing? That's how cooperative I was. He's like, yeah, sure. So we blow into the breath. Well, he doesn't blow into it. I blow into the breath thing. And then he looks at me and he goes, oh, you're over. And I was like, really? And he was like, yeah. It was the most anticlimactic DUI arrest that's ever happened. So I go see a lawyer, because I want to get away with it, right? And the lawyer tells me beating a checkpoint is like climbing Everest, because there's always 2 cops there. But in my case, there was 4. So it would be like climbing Everest twice. So he tells me, you should just plead guilty. You should just go in there and plead guilty. But you still need me, though. You still have to hire me to plead guilty. And I was like, really? And he said, yes, because... And he never finished the sentence. But here's the thing. When you get arrested by 4 cops, all 4 of them must be present for you to get a conviction. And every time I went to court, at least one of them would be busy and not show up. And the judge would postpone the case. And this happened for 3 years. Until the judge got fed up and threw the case away. And I won. So good things do happen to bad people. All right, guys, thank you so much.
Oh man, that was the best thing ever. You're a genius, man. I love that. I love that when you said that. What was that thing you said in that routine?
I was like, can you believe this guy?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was like genius, man. Like I was roaring. You had me, man. I was dying. I can hardly even talk right now. It was so funny. Like my stomach is hurting from the cramps.
You have ass.
We're just totally bullshitting and haven't watched it yet, folks.
Right.
But we had you. We had you for a moment. So, do you do things like you pass out a hat and have people just throw random stuff at you while you're on stage and try to riff off it?
There's shows like that where there was a famous show. It was actually on TV for a while, and
Okay.
I used to host a show in LA with this idea. It was called Set List.
Okay. Kind of like whose idea is it anyway? Drew
Whose line
Carey
is it
did that
anyway?
one.
Well, it's a bit
Whose
different.
line is it anyways?
It's a bit different because that's like an improv thing where somebody calls out or gives. Set list was predetermined topics that you
Okay.
didn't know what you were going to do. Somebody else created it. So you'd have a screen behind you. And a big difference between this and let's say improvised stand where somebody goes like tuna, you'd be like, oh, all right, that's a weird one. And you had to act like
And then
this
you
was
did albacore.
yeah. You had to act like this was a joke you've been telling for years.
Like, okay, a dolphin walks into a bar and he says, "Bartender, get me a
Well, it's
tuna
kind of
shake."
like let's say the screen was on, and let's say I suggest I came out like internet shirt yoga. I have to act like I can't just say, "Well, that's so weird." I can't comment on the suggestion. The whole thing is like right away you have to launch into go. I can't. I'm addicted to buying things on the internet. You have to like as if it's a joke you tell. So you build a routine. Sort of.
Okay, here we go. We're going to test your ability to do this. Let's see what I can do here. Orangish lava lamp.
You know, I love all types of Halloween decorations. And I know the big thing is the pumpkins are orange, but people forget that oranges are orange. And I'm trying to change the perception by selling a line of lava lamps for Halloween. That is an orangish lava lamp that I bought in Germany when I was there. And when I was bringing it back to North America, I got through customs. We were in Switzerland. And before the plane took off,
Okay.
this German guy ran on board and said, "Is there Rishi Arya here?" I was like, "What, on the plane?" And he says, "Yes." He goes, "The X-ray machine found some liquid in your bag." I was like, "All right, Bin Laden's dead. It's fine now. We can have this." And he's like, "No, we don't know what it is. It's shaped like this." And I realize that it's my lava lamp that I bought to bring back. Well, yeah, when I was in Europe, I bought an orange lava lamp.
Okay.
It's like, "Well, we don't know what it is. We have to take your whole bag." And I was like, "No, don't worry about it. If you want, you can have the orangish lava lamp." And he's like, "We're going to take your whole bag, but don't worry about it. It's going to meet you somewhere. Like I'm going to find it on a dating app or something." So I go back to sit down and the lady
That's kind of kinky. I mean, like girls and lava lamps. I mean,
girls in lava lamps?
yeah, I mean,
Or girls in lava lamps?
well, I mean, okay, let's not go there. I mean, I just watched, Divorce Bait, which is, like I said, is on the edge. So, I mean, a lava lamp, just let's not go there. I shouldn't have derailed you. So you're on the plane. They were going to give you the lava lamp, but you had to surrender your bag.
Well, they took my whole bag, and I didn't get my bag back for like a month.
Oh,
And that was like all my clothes. So I was forced to wear stuff like my old wrestling jerseys or whatever. And then I get the bag back, and it comes with a notice. It says, "For security purposes, item number whatever was destroyed."
They destroyed your lava lamp? Now that's low.
And to add
That
insult
is
to
low.
injury, they sent me back the rest of the lava lamp,
The shards.
plugged in, the little hat orange on the top, so they knew that it
folks,
was
this
lamp.
comes off, by the way. I don't know.
Yeah, they
folks,
sent-
anybody
they
who
sent
has a
back-
lava lamp knows this, but if you're a lava lamp layperson, you wouldn't know that the top comes off. This is
Well, they
pure.
sent me back that. They only destroyed the liquid.
So you got the base as well. But
Yes.
of course, the problem is that the actual contents of a lava lamp are a closely guarded secret. Like, no, they know it's some kind. That's like people think it's water and some kind of special oil, but the deal is that it's got to be perfectly balanced in order to get it to do the bubbles. If you don't do it right, it won't cycle. Like I have a lava lamp that's stuck. It won't cycle no matter how long I turn it on. So, anyways, yeah. So, and then of course. So I don't know why So this was a special German lava lamp, you say? It's better than the American type of lava lamp? German lava lamps are better than American lava lamps?
Not necessarily.
Oh,
I was just there when I got it.
okay. Maybe the orange ones are from Germany and the purple ones are like from...
Could be.
Okay, interesting. Well, I'm glad we had this discussion. I mean, because one of the line items I have on my resume is that I'm a lava lamp interactive artist.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I bet you didn't know that there was such a thing.
I never knew that existed. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. A lava lamp interactive artist is someone who gazes into a lava lamp and interacts with it. Like one day I was interacting with my lava lamp and suddenly it created this shape that looked exactly like a yogi in the lotus posture. And luckily I had my phone there and I took a picture of it that can prove it.
Yeah.
If you followed me on Twitter, you would have already seen it, man.
Right.
Of course, I posted it like 9 months ago, but still.
I'm definitely not Twitter stalking you enough.
Okay, yeah, well, we just started following each other 2 days ago. But I mean, I would assume you'd gone through all my tweets by now.
I don't even go through my own tweets. I'm not really on the Twitter. Twitter didn't really get to me. Didn't really.
Well, see, of course, okay. We're gonna exit the lava lamp scenario just for a second, folks. But then we're gonna circle back because we haven't fully explored it. But so you're able to make a decent living doing stand-up, or do you still have to have a side gig?
It depends here. Like I haven't had one since, let's say, June. I did a movie, I did a commercial.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, stand-up is you can support yourself doing stand-up. I used to go on the road.
Okay.
And there you could do it, but it's kind of a miserable time.
Right.
Like you would go to, because you're never really going to cities you want to go to. Like I would go to the middle of nowhere, New Mexico.
Okay.
Go to middle of nowhere, Alberta, when it's negative 56. Go to, Oklahoma, a lot of these places, and you're kind of just going to the people. It's a gig, and you come home, you have money, but it's like you're really working hard. So
Okay.
then you can stay in LA, you can do a bunch of shows here, and they mostly just don't pay at all, unless you're a draw. Unless you're like kind of a famous person. I'm headlining at Laugh Factory, I'm getting most of the door, but I'm not that. So
okay. So do you have? I mean, like for musicians, it's like, well, yeah, you come play at our bar. We'll give you free food afterwards, and you can get the tips, and the tips are like
yeah, maybe you get like
$20 a piece if there's 5 people in the band, and you're like, but most bands will do it because they just want a place to play.
Yeah, I think stand-up is the same. You have to kind of keep doing it. You can't be like, I'm only going to do the gigs that pay me well. It's like you're not going to develop any jokes, and you're not going to be good at the craft.
Okay.
You kind of have to take these gigs, but you have a choice. You can stay in LA and you can do it here for kind of no money. And, you book TV work. Like I worked a lot on TV. You book films, you book commercials, and you have your income that way. Or you can say, screw it, I'm just going to make a living off doing stand-up, and you just go on the road. But a lot of people I know that do that, they're trying to get off the road now. Eventually, it's you don't want to do it.
Yeah,
you don't want to do it anymore.
Well, it's funny. Like even really well-known rock bands.
Yeah.
The only way those guys make money is if they're on tour.
Yeah.
Because they make hardly any money out of their CDs back when there was CDs. Now they make nothing off streaming.
Yeah.
So it's all live shows is what makes your money. And I know Matt Cameron, he lives in town, and everybody knows who he is, like drummer of Soundgarden and oh crap, I can never pull out the other band the other huge grunge band. Well, now my brain just froze up. And anyways, he tours with them because that's how he makes his money.
Yeah.
Interesting. But it sounds like you're successful enough so you don't have to do just a normal old day job to fill in the gaps.
I do here and there. Just right now, I'm not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So that's success right there. I know some guys for example, Brian.
Yeah.
He does a lot of guest stars on TV shows.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't have a guest star gig for a few weeks, he's out of money.
Oh
You know,
yeah,
so
yeah,
he's
yeah.
got to do other stuff to
I mean, you
to
get
pay the bills.
residuals. There's residuals, but even that's gone down
Yeah.
because now streaming. Because it used to be like, man, it used to be when I first moved here. Let's say like a good 7 or 8 years ago. Every once in a while, you would get a check for like a couple grand out of nowhere, out of the blue.
Oh, that
And
must be
that has
nice.
just severely lessened in the past like 3 years, 4 years. It's like not like that anymore.
Huh. So they would like just wait until they hit a certain threshold of how much money they owed you, and then they would send you a check.
No, no, no. They send you a check for everything, but usually they're pennies or like a few bucks, maybe 30
Right.
bucks. But if it airs again in the prime time slot of the network, it's like you're getting paid for doing the job again. And that used to happen pretty often because people were watching TV and most
Right.
shows were on TV. But now with the streaming, it's not really that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's work is just getting devalued.
I know.
more,
Well,
more,
it's
more.
kind of a double-edged sword because streaming, there's so many shows that there's a lot more opportunities, but none of them pay very well anymore, right?
It's kind of becoming like, and a lot of actors are getting priced out of doing this because of that. Because also now, since the pandemic, a lot of the auditions, pretty much all the auditions, are you have to tape yourself and send it in,
Right.
and which is fine,
Plus, but don't they do like a live Zoom call kind of
Very-
follow-up?
Maybe for the callback, they might do that,
Okay.
But the point is it puts a lot more. It's like, okay, now I got to always make, when I get an audition, I got to make sure I have another person to read it with me. And then as time passes, you're like, well, you better get good equipment and have good sound and get, you know what I mean? You start getting priced out because somebody else is doing it. So now you have to do it.
Right.
So now it's becoming expensive just to audition.
Mm-hmm.
Before that was their responsibility. You walked in the room and you were prepared,
Though, I don't know. I mean, like this mic, I can't remember how much I paid for it. Like, I think $200.
Yeah.
So that's not really that bad.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine. It's fine if you do it as a one time.
Plus, you can also, I mean, you could literally, if you're
This
in
is
a
not
room,
the mic you would use. You'd probably get a lapel or something.
yeah, or actually, you can just do it on a good smartphone. As long as the room doesn't have too much echo in it, you can get away with that.
No, but that's how it starts. But then when one guy gets the lapel, then the other guy gets the lapel, then your sound sucks all of a sudden in comparison.
No, what I'm saying is if you have a room that's like if you can cancel out most of the echo, like buy some foam or just have a carpet and a lot of curtains and stuff, the sound will actually be good enough off your phone.
Okay.
It'll be good.
But my point is, it's an extra expense.
Yeah, you got to have a good smartphone.
And
It costs like
and the curtains and whatever you mentioned.
Yeah.
And you're doing it for a job that is paying you less money than it used to pay.
right.
So you went from having no expense to making money to now extra expense, and you're making less and no residuals. So it ends up pricing a lot of people out. The career becomes a bit less.
Yeah, and also, plus you spend a lot of time doing auditions. I know Brian, again, he's like, every time I talk to him, he's like, yeah, I'm doing an audition tomorrow. He's like constantly putting audition tapes out there, just to kind of make ends meet.
Yeah, I remember, it's interesting when somebody who's not an actor, like I remember I had somebody help me film an audition, and I did it. And it was like kind of a big job. I had to edit it, had to upload it, and the uploading sites are all bad. They're slow. It took forever. Right. And he's like, so you're just doing this for free? I was like, no, if I get the job, which you do 3% of the time,
Yeah.
And no, that one wasn't for free. But it's kind of turning into, and I know it was always kind of a version of this. It's kind of like an aristocratic, like you kind of have to have, it's better if you have the kind of like the luxury of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's becoming kind of like community theater for the rich in a way. A friend of mine mentioned that. He was like, because a lot of people aren't even watching the stuff because there's so much content that a lot of it is not even seen.
I know.
And so it's like, who's really watching it? Who could afford to keep up to even audition and get one of these jobs? And
it's true. I mean, there's so many. Well, I have that same problem because I have a day job. I'm an IT guy.
Yeah.
But then I got my YouTube channel, and so I'm always creating content. So like, there's tons of really good shows that I've been wanting to watch. I just don't have time to watch them.
Yeah.
So, but I try to at least somehow stay. 'Cause of course, if you're, I mean, especially like if you're a comic, you got to stay up on current events, right?
Not necessarily. I mean, it doesn't, you know what? It doesn't take any effort to do that because I find like with social media, you can't escape current events.
Okay.
You just go on your phone, you're seeing all the top stories. I go to do stand-up. Everybody, the work is kind of done for you.
Okay. Well,
I
that's
don't
good to know.
necessarily, I'm not really a political comic like at all. But
Hmm.
I'll know enough that if I have to make a comment or something, I want to make a small little joke, I could do it, you know.
Okay. Well, then again, let's go back to. See, I still don't really know now what I know about your comic routine, since I haven't actually watched the clip that we already showed everybody because it's got to be edited in. Is that you kind of riff off the crowd? It's a bit improv, like you have kind of a vague idea of what you want to use, but you don't have it pre-planned as to when and where
I
you're
don't
going to
know
throw
what-
it in there.
I guess if I could even give you a step-by-step, I'll look at my jokes on the phone. I'll be like,
Okay.
all right, just to refresh my memory. I don't really know if I'll do them all. I don't know when I'll do them. I don't know what order.
Okay.
I know, like, okay, at one point I want to get into this and I want to get into that.
Okay.
I'm going to try to riff off the crowd to sort of get there instead of
Okay.
us going up and be like, I wanted to go see my parents in Canada, you know?
Okay,
So,
how about this? Would you be able to try it right now and kind of riff off me?
I don't, it doesn't really work. I mean, I get it's not going to be funny.
Okay. You
It's
got to
kinda
have a
like you wanna
crowd to
do
sort
it-
of feel.
Yeah, the whole thing is that there's a space for it. It's not
Okay.
it's like doing Shakespeare. Okay, let's do the Broadway Shakespeare play in the microphone on the Zoom. It doesn't really, you know.
Senor Antonio, many a time and often the Rialto, you have rated me
Yeah.
about
And
my
stand-up-
monies and my usances. Still, have I borne it with a patient shrug, for sufferance is the badge of all our tribe. And so on.
Stand-up is also it's not really a conversation. So
Okay.
it's like, if I'm talking to you and then you're talking, you're not going to know to stop talking when I'm doing the joke, if that makes sense.
Well, let's try it. Just throw out one of your jokes and let's see what happens.
Let me see.
You don't have your cheat sheet with you, of course. I'm putting you totally on the spot.
Oh, yeah, I just don't really know which one I would do. This is obvious. Honestly, this is like
Okay,
kind of
tell me to pick a number.
You could ask. A
Okay,
comic.
how many jokes you got there, and I'll just pick a random number.
Well, they're not really numbered. I'll probably have like hundreds, really.
Okay, how about joke number 7?
Okay, I'll do 7 scrolls. 1, 2,
3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I don't know if I can do that one.
Well, I can edit it out if it's bad.
Let me go.
Come on, man. We rolled a 7. You have to do joke number 7.
All right. All right. I guess I could do this. Have you been to Hollywood? I live in Hollywood.
Yeah, of course I've been to Hollywood, man. I even went to like that famous Chinese theater in Hollywood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I live not far from there.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I live like, I don't know, 4 blocks east of that
Of the
place.
Chinese theater?
Yeah, from the Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Ah.
I live right near a police station.
Oh. Oh, and cell number 3?
No, right. I don't.
Oh shit! I told the joke.
But you see what I mean? That's why it doesn't work.
It wouldn't work, and you wouldn't have a
because
heckler
you're
out
too
there.
busy talking too, so it doesn't really work to do stand up.
I see the problem already.
Yeah.
Okay, you proved your point.
Yeah. No, you proved my point.
True, I proved your point.
Yeah.
Ooh, you did a Jedi mind trick on me. That's you used your yoga power on me. Damn it!
Through my sage or whatever. Seath. You said Seath?
You
What is-
just broke the yoga code.
Oh,
You're not
no.
supposed to
I mean,
use your
yoga.
cities upon unsuspecting citizens.
Yeah.
So, well, if you were a Catholic, that would buy you 1 or 2 extra weeks in purgatory.
Oh, really?
Since you're a yogi, that means you're going to be reincarnated as a lesser being So yeah.
Doesn't it take a long time for that I heard like it takes a long time for whatever you're reincarnated as to change. It's like, yeah, you're this for like 5,000 years, and then, or even longer than that. It takes like right? Is that true? Like it takes forever?
Yeah, well, I mean, the whole thing is, of course, it is just how people want to fantasize about it. I mean, like, the better way to think about it is that every action has a certain reaction.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you step on an ant, some reaction will happen from that. It doesn't mean you'll be reborn as an ant.
Right.
Or it doesn't mean that some elephant's going to step on you someday.
Mm.
But, it might mean, well, who knows what it might mean? It might mean that your wife slaps you the next day. I mean, it could be anything, but there'll be some kind of consequence to every action, but who knows what that consequence actually will be.
Okay, but that works for stepping on an ant because that's like kind of bad. You killed an ant. But what about stuff that's like you ate an orange from a tree? Is there a reaction to that? Or
Well, of course, you go into the whole thing. Well, the reason why you ate the orange in that tree is because in a previous life, you were a tree and some monkey ate your orange. So now you're balancing that out. I mean, it can just go, it can go on to infinity. You could just keep going to chain reactions of all these reasons why you finally ate the orange on that particular day.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the future, all these other things will happen because you ate this orange,
Yeah.
So it's like, another way to put it is, it's kind of like if you throw a stone into a pond, it's going to create all these ripples.
Yeah.
And if you tried to explain what all those ripples were, it'd be fantastically complex. You'd never be able to do it.
Right.
But you know that it created those ripples in the pond from you throwing that stone.
I see.
It's like that. So in the end, you know what? Chasing all the karmic consequences of anything you do, again, just becomes an endless mind trip.
Yeah.
Because really what you want to do is, karma's karma. It'll work itself out. Just stay in the silence and everything will work out fine.
Yeah.
Especially also when you're in the silence, it's like, well, today it's raining. Am I going to be all depressed because it's raining? No. Today it's raining because it's raining. The sound of rain is rather pleasant, actually, if you just listen to it.
Right.
It's like that,
It rains a lot in Seattle, right?
Yeah, it's raining today.
Here it's the opposite. It never rains.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I noticed that when you're flying over LA, it looks awfully dusty and
it's like desert,
like
I remember
parched.
one time a couple of years ago, it rained like crazy. Like it wouldn't stop raining, flooding, raining. And then I saw all the parts that were usually dirt were green, like they had grass.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that's what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I never saw how it was supposed to be.
Yeah. I think actually I remember I did a road trip to not all the way to LA, but to Oakland one year. I forget which year it was. And it happened to be a year when they did have a lot of rain. And yeah, just like you said, all the hillsides and stuff were green and beautiful looking. Yeah. Interesting. That's so wild. So, okay, so now we know that you have a list of jokes and you just kind of pull them out as needed.
Yeah, I kind of refresh my brain before I go up and
Okay. Or you can just literally pull out your phone and just grab a random joke right there in front of everybody.
Yeah, but I try not to do. I don't like doing that.
Because it's funny when people. There's lots of people that sing in bands.
Yeah.
And now they got their phone right there with the lyrics.
Yeah.
Singing it like in karaoke or something. Or they have it on a music stand.
You gotta put some effort into the thing, You feel like you're on your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I hear
I
you.
know some people do that. Some people will have their phone or a notebook, and the audience is giving. But yeah, I'm not a fan. I'll just go up without. If I forget, I forget. I'll figure something out.
So you also are a writer. So what kind of writing projects do you got in the works?
I just I have a film debuting that I wrote. I star in. It's a short film. It's a short kind of horror comedy.
Okay.
We had done a bit of a film festival route with it, and now it's going to be up on a site called Film Shortage. They
Cool.
just feature short films on YouTube.
Okay, we'll put a link to that.
Great.
So
I mean,
can we-
it hasn't debuted yet, but you can put
Okay,
a-
we can also, I can always edit the video descriptions.
Okay.
So when it does debut, we can throw the link in.
Yeah, it's probably going to come out in a couple weeks.
Oh, good. For sure. We'll throw it in.
I wrote that. I've written other things. I've written other scripts. I've written, I'm writing another script now. You know, we've shopped some around trying to get it funded and made.
Okay. Now, okay, so here's another question for you. So, is it worth it to shop a script around? Like, why not just make it yourself?
Budget's too high.
Okay.
Talking like a couple $1 million. Maybe you want to attach kind of somebody like a name to it, you know, as well. It might cost more. Or sometimes you don't even really want to make it. You just kind of want to sell it. You just want that the credit to sort of then you have more credibility for when you do want to make something, you know.
Okay.
I think making your own thing is more like, yes, if it's a passion project of yours, or you can, let's say it's not very expensive, you can make it.
Okay.
And then sure, why not? But the few that I have, especially if you're getting into feature land, like unless I knew like a super rich person, I'm not going to be able to make it on.
Of course, now feature films are kind of going by the wayside because everybody's watching streaming shows.
Yeah, you might be right. I don't know. Yeah, I heard somebody say like in 40 years there'll be no movies anymore.
Might be sooner than that.
They're just watching like, the phone. Like everything's content 30 seconds at a time, really.
Well, hopefully it won't get to that point where nobody has any has any, what do you call it?
I mean, we don't
attention
know.
span.
I'm going to be the 11-year-old. Is their future. Like whatever they're used to is what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's true.
You know? So I'm so removed from that.
Yeah.
That, you know, I can't really say.
Speaking of that, so you don't have any kids?
Not yet.
Okay. But you are married, right?
I am married.
There you go. Because I did hear you say hon.
Yeah. I got married recently, like a year and a half ago.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
So that is having kids kind of part of the plan?
Yes, and I'm already too late. I got to hurry up. So I was like, we always are kind of meaning to do it, and we don't do it, you know.
Right. Yeah.
There's no ideal time, I guess.
Of course, that's absolutely true. Yeah.
You know. So, but yeah, no, that's something we do want to do ASAP.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll put that out to the universe, to the fertility gods and goddesses, which would smile upon you.
Of course.
And get those sperm and eggs together, and just in the right way, and get a baby going.
What about yourself? Do you have any children?
Yeah, but they're all grown up. My youngest one is almost 22.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so you've been there, done that. You're a veteran of that game.
Now I'm in the stage of life where I'm starting to think about getting grandkids in 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, my parents are always like, they're asking, are you having the kids yet?
Yeah, what's up, man? Rishi, we want to have some kids so we can babysit.
It's like, but you have grandkids. They want more grandkids.
Okay. So when you guys got married, did you do like a traditional Hindu wedding or just?
We did both. We did
cool.
a Hindu wedding, and we did regular Western wedding.
So you walked around the fire with.
Yes.
Did you actually have like Vedic chanting and all that type of stuff happening too?
I mean, I don't know how authentic it was, but we did have the mandap, the fire, the clothing. There was prayers.
So were those guys going arm in arm, swaha, swaha, Ariom tatsat, Hariom tatsat, swaha, Hariom, Om Kunamada, Puramidam, Hariom, and all that kind of stuff.
Yes, we did have that.
Sounded like you had Vedic chanting.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I didn't know what they were saying, what was going on, but
nobody knows. They say, for one thing, they say it so fast that even if you did know Sanskrit, you can't even understand what they're saying because they're just flying.
Yeah.
I mean, you can catch the Hari Om Tat Sat and Om Puranadam Puramidam Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Yes.
That's about all that you can catch.
Yeah. We had a dosa bar, which is pretty nice.
Yeah. Oh, you had a what?
Dosa bar?
What's that?
Like dosa, They
Oh,
make those.
dosa. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so like
Dosa bar. Oh, wow.
they just go
Cool.
and it's like an omelet bar, but with dosas.
Right. And dosas, I forget. So it's not chapat. Are dosas those super thin ones, kind of like a crepe?
Yes. Kind of like a crepe, yeah.
Yeah.
Very
Those are
good.
really good.
Yeah.
Did you have chapatis and samosas and stuff like that too?
We did that the night before. We had like kind of a dinner at my house, and we had, a bunch of Indian food and, naan and roti and all that stuff. But no, at the actual Indian wedding, we just had the dosa bar.
Oh, fun.
Yeah.
And did most of the Indian women wear their traditional saris and stuff?
For the Indian wedding, yeah.
Cool.
I
Oh,
think
I
so.
love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that must have been really, you probably got some really good pictures of that too.
We did. The better pictures were honestly just of the Western wedding because more people came to that one.
Okay.
So that's where we had like the real photographer and stuff. But like the pictures still look nice of the other ones, but it's just like our friends taking it with cameras and phones.
That's neat.
Yeah.
And then is your wife also Hindu?
No, she's Jewish.
Oh, cool. Oh, man. Oh, boy. So did any of her Jewish family come to the Hindu wedding?
Yeah, a bunch of them did, yeah.
Yeah,
It was interesting because I even saw when I was looking for mandaps and stuff.
okay.
One, it combined the mandap with whatever, I don't even know what it's called for Jewish weddings.
Yeah, it has that kind of, that thing, the whatever
Yeah, I forgot. I
covering
don't know
thing.
the name. Yeah, but they had both. They had it. I was like, oh, so I guess this is a normal, like they created, like they had enough Indians and Jews marrying each other that they created this thing that
It was a
there's.
combo.
Yeah, basically.
Then did you step on the glass at the end, smash the glass?
Yes. Not of the Indian, not but of the wedding before it. Yeah.
That's
And we
okay.
had the chair, the chair thing and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
that's cool. Because the I don't know a whole lot about the Jewish tradition, but I do know that there's a lot of traditions, a lot of
Yeah.
rituals, and a lot of stuff that just goes way back that dropped out of Christianity. The Christianity doesn't know anything about a lot of stuff that's in Judaism, even though Christianity was born from Judaism.
Right.
So there's a lot of really neat traditions within Judaism. Can she speak Hebrew?
No, not at all.
Okay. I thought everybody has to know a little bit for their bar mitzvah.
Maybe just like a word. Maybe she knows it
Okay.
as much as I know Hindi.
Okay.
I think even less because I'll at least understand it. I don't think she'll really understand it.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. Wow. So you could have her come up and tell Jewish jokes if we wanted to go that route.
Sure, I don't think it's really.
Or does she even if she has any use of, if she's like my wife, she's like, I don't want to be on stage. I'm fine in the audience.
Yeah. No, she has no desire to do stand-up whatsoever.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
cool. Okay. So you're doing stand-up partly as a way to get you into other avenues and to try out your stuff. And then, so are your scripts comedic type of scripts? Are they comedies?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And does Patrick, does he help you out? Is he helping you at all? Like make connections or coach you at all or anything like that?
No, not really. I never really approached him about that either.
Huh.
But no, they've
Okay.
got their journey. I've got mine.
Okay. Interesting. Well, I'm happy to help out however I can. I mean, the cool thing about doing all these interviews is I'm getting to know a lot of people. And so I'm like making all these connections and I can kind of just say, hey, so-and-so is making a movie. You ought to talk to, I know this one actor who can do this, that, and that.
Right.
So in some ways, I'm sort of acting like an agent sort of for people now.
Or an entertainment lawyer.
Yeah. So how in the heck did Patrick find you then?
It was an interesting story because it wasn't a traditional go in for an audition. I had submitted for this movie, I guess. I don't remember it. And you submit for a million things. And
Right.
I was out of town. We were in Italy. for my wife's birthday. And I got a message from Patrick saying, hey, we're looking, we want to give you a straight to producer callback. We looked at your demo reel and your resume. We think you'd be a perfect fit. And he showed me like a movie stars this, but I was like, oh, it's like a real movie,
Uh-huh.
I was like, but I'm in Italy, so I'm not gonna be there. It was like the next day or something,
Okay.
And I was like, look, I'm not in town. I won't be in town. And it's like, that's okay. Maybe we could just do like a Skype. I think it was even before Zoom, so
So
whatever.
it was a Skype call.
Yeah. And it happened to be that the Skype the next day was my wife's birthday. And we
Okay.
had already planned. We got like a boat to go to some remote island in Narano. And I was like, well, I can't really miss my wife's birthday to sit in this, hotel to do an audition at like 5. I couldn't do it,
Okay.
I just was like, hey, look, I'm really sorry. It's just not going to work. I said, okay, well, don't worry about it. He goes, if you want, you can record a tape and just send it, I was like, okay, I'll do that at least. And it was the next day, and there was a guy, he worked in the hotel. He's this guy.
So I don't get, wait, just a sec. So they were calling you before you'd even submitted a tape?
Yeah, not to do it, just to audition. They're calling me to do the audition.
So your agent pitched it? Or how did they even?
I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't know if I was already submitted. I don't know if I submitted, because sometimes you'll submit on your own too to some
Just
things.
online or something like that.
But they had my material. So
Okay.
that's what I did. But and I can tell like maybe they had somebody else for this role. Maybe they couldn't do it,
Right.
So the next morning was my wife's birthday, and we were getting ready to leave. There was this guy, he worked in the hotel, this guy from Sri Lanka. He had like a nice camera, and he was filming my audition. He had no idea how this works. Like, he's trying to get angles, he's zooming in and zooming out. I was like, no, just don't do anything. Just leave the camera. I'm trying to get a take. There's noise. And it was literally, I borrowed my friend's father's jacket. It was big.
To try to look like a lawyer.
Yeah, kind of trying to look like a businessman. I didn't bring business clothes to Italy. And I did work on the audition the night before. So like, I had to memorize. I was somewhat prepared, but doing it this morning was just not it.
Right.
There was all this noise, boat noise. And like basically the first take we got that was kind of clean is what I submitted. And in my head, I was like, I'm not getting this. This is, but I didn't mind. I was like, whatever, I'm not,
Then that might have been the thing that they sort of, because you were sort of aloof about it, it sort of created a certain air of confidence that maybe they picked up on.
I sent it, had my wife's birthday, went on a boat, came back, and I was told that I got the role, which I couldn't believe.
Oh, they didn't even ask for a follow-up?
No, it was just, I guess by then, I think they were kind of in a little bit of a crunch time.
Okay.
I literally started shooting it like right when I got back.
Huh. Well, you did great. I mean, you were awesome.
I'm a lot heavier in that. It's because I came right from vacation eating pasta every day. Like I look at it, I was like, wow, I was battered, But I was like, oh yeah, it was right after I came back from Italy. I went right into shooting that. But
yeah. Well, you guys, again, you guys were all great. You, Joe, Brian, the three of you guys were like the Three Musketeers. You told, especially the road trip scenes.
Mm-hmm.
And then later on, when you sort of became the heavy, and you're like, "Come on, guys, get off your ass. We got to get something done here."
Yeah.
You did those so good.
Well, because I felt like I was right.
Uh-huh.
The guys, like, I mean, that's kind of what you always have to do for your character. But if you look at the script, it's like, it is true. He did always have to pick up the slack.
You were basically the parent of the three.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I remember they did float around an idea, at least back then when we were making it, was to do another, like a sequel to it.
Oh, I wish they would.
We were all
Think
friends.
about Patrick. He's done like 3 different movies since then.
Yeah.
Like I've been telling him, once Brian gave me Patrick's cell phone number, so I was texting Patrick like, man, you can't just drop this movie. It's so good. You got to like re-release it, or like, release it to the Latino community, or do some kind of social media thing. You can't, this movie's too good to just let it die because of COVID.
Right.
And I had him on the hook for it for a while, and then we got a thing going where we got a bunch of people to review it on Rotten Tomatoes. Like when I got there, the Rotten Tomato score was like 40%.
Right.
Because only 5 people reviewed it, and some idiot gave it a terrible review in like a 2 or a 1, so it ruined the score. So I'm like, dudes, let's just get some of our friends to review it.
Yeah.
So we did, and now the score is like 91%.
Nice.
And that's the score it deserves because it's that good of a movie. So
also now
what I realized was that nobody had done any work as far as promoting it on social media. You know, he just kind of let it go.
You know, the people that did the movie, we posted about it, but it's not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, stuff like that, you got to kind of get a buzz going, then you got to keep supporting it and get it to catch on. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, but by then it was almost like Patrick was already thinking about his next two movies.
Stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, it was on HBO Max. I mean, that's,
I saw it on Amazon. I've watched it like 5 times. I love that movie.
Yeah. And there's a demand now for rom-coms all of a sudden. So,
well, every person that I've shown it to loved it.
Yeah.
You know? So
it's very fun. It's a family movie that I found was actually funny.
Yeah, well, there's so many great things in it too, because it was like barely PG-13, so it really was family. Plus, it had an international cast.
Yeah.
Which I really noticed immediately, and I thought this is cool.
Yeah.
And it really turned the typical paradigm of how Latinos are portrayed in Hollywood on its ear.
Right.
You know, and for once the white guy's the idiot, and all the Latinos around him and are like the smart people.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he was a pretty smart guy too. He was brilliant.
Well, he was brilliant, but he was socially inept, right?
Yeah.
But once you got him into Mexico, he was like, "Well, I don't speak Spanish," and then he did his whole clowning around stuff. And then they're really all the people in Mexico at the vineyard were like, they knew what was going on. Like he had no idea how the culture worked, and he had no street smarts at all, and and they were all kind of telling him how to be and all that,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Wow. So one thing I noticed too is nowadays, since it's as an actor, everybody's kind of doing a million auditions, and then they basically just take whatever role they can get.
Yeah.
Like Brian got a role in Walking Dead.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh, cool, man! You got on a hit show."
Yeah.
And I watched the episode, and I was like, I texted Brian. I said, "This Walking Dead show, I don't know why it's so popular, because this episode completely sucks. There's nothing happening besides every once in a while they hack a zombie."
Yeah.
And then Brian gets like 5 minutes before he kills himself. Spoiler, guys. Right. So I was like, well, basically he got to be on a hit show, but it wasn't a very much of a role, to tell the truth. But so I was thinking, if that's what it's like, it's almost like the way to go is instead write your own ticket, basically write your own show and your own script that caters to what you're good at, and then you can actually play roles.
It's a bit of a longer road, because that's like you're walking. You're kind of like, okay, you're going to go through all this trouble, and hopefully it ends up somewhere where people see it.
Yeah.
So you're doing it's pros and cons. Okay, this is a role that's good for me. I'm showcasing my stuff. I don't know if anyone's going to see it. Whereas I could do, 5 lines in Law and Order, and 1 million people are going to see, or 10 million people are going to see it.
Right.
So you kind of just weigh. It's a journey.
The way to do it is you get to do your 5 lines in a Star Trek show.
Yeah.
Then you can go to conventions and sell autographs for $50 a pop.
That's true. You make more money.
Thousands of dollars each weekend.
Yeah. You can sell your underwear
for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
I've seen it. Literally, you got people there at the autograph booth. They've been in one episode of some Star Trek show 20 years ago.
We all know who it is.
Yeah, and everybody knows who they are, and Gaga wants to talk to them and get a selfie with them and get a signed autograph, and yeah.
Yeah, not bad. That happened with the soup Nazi from Seinfeld.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I remember that episode.
going on tour, just being him, and
Being the soup, he had a whole soup Nazi routine.
yeah, no, he wasn't doing stand-up. I don't know what he was doing, but he is somehow still making money off that doing live. Like he'll appear at a food expo,
Okay.
kind of like that,
Well, of course, Robin Williams, he got to be Mork and Mork and Mindy just because of that one Happy Days episode.
Yeah.
So you never know.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, we've been yakking for a while, so we're pushing 2 hours. So maybe we should wrap it up. Is there any other things you want to plug or talk about before we call it good?
I did do a movie recently. Oh, and somebody's at my door, so that's
There we go. Bring him on in. You can be on the show.
I did a movie called Sight. It's a time travel sci-fi movie. I'm not sure when
cool.
I think it's going to come out soon. I don't know what platform.
Oh, cool.
But I'm there doing time travel, and
is it a lead type of role, or is it?
No, supporting. Definitely.
Okay.
But I'm playing one of the main characters in the past.
Oh, cool. So it's actually a pretty major role then.
Yeah,
right?
it's an important role, but I don't know. Who knows what's going to end up at the end in the movie? So that's why I can really count my chickens. And like I said, the movie Nunchuck, my short, is going to be on Film Shortage.
That's like a martial arts movie?
No, it's just called Nunchuck.
Okay. Are there nunchucks in it?
No, there's no nunchucks in it.
Okay.
But when you watch the movie, like, oh, that's why it's called Nunchuck.
And that's like a 20-minute short film?
Short, 10 minutes. 10
okay.
minutes. And besides that, doing a lot of stand-up.
Okay.
I'll be I'm going to DC in May. That's
okay.
the next time I'm leaving town. Doing the Arlington Draft House. It's a big legendary venue. I'll be there early May. And yeah, I mean, that's all for now.
When you do get cast in roles, do they ever ask you to put on like a fake Indian accent?
Oh, sometimes. Like I did one for the show All Rise. I remember All Rise used to be on ABC.
Well, like I said, there's so many shows I haven't watched because I'm so busy.
I did an Indian accent. And I've done an Indian accent in a play.
Okay.
I could do it. It's not really my some people do it way better, especially if you're from India. Something you might just hire a guy like that.
Right.
But no, I've done it.
Okay. Cool. All right. Well, now I want to watch. I'm really looking forward to clicking on some of the links we put down here so I can watch some of your stand-up stuff.
I'll send you a link, actually. I have a demo reel link, demoreel.com.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay.
And there's like 2 videos of me doing stand-up there. You can watch and just take whatever clip you want.
Yeah, we can throw that in we'll do some time traveling and we'll take that reel and put it.
Sure. Well, it's a
back
website.
in time.
It's a website just of like reels. I don't know if that's really going to be
okay.
available of anyone to click on, but
very cool.
I'll send it to you for your use. You can just take whatever you want from there.
Yeah, and then also
you can even take a clip from. I have all my scenes of In Other Words on that too, so you can just take it.
Okay, cool.
The actual movie.
Yeah, we'll put lots of stuff in there.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay, and then let's just keep in touch.
Yeah, for sure.
So we can DM each other. Yeah. I check my DMs all the time. Are you also on Facebook?
I am on Facebook, yeah.
Okay, do you share that publicly?
Yeah.
Your Facebook? Well, we can put your Facebook link down there too if you want.
Or my Instagram. Maybe Instagram might be better because I post stuff on Instagram.
Yeah, Instagram, folks. I'm a bit of a dinosaur. I have an Instagram account, but I hardly ever use it. Yeah. But like if I friend you on Facebook, then do you Facebook message people? Like, can we communicate like that too?
Yeah, we can communicate like that. Just that my Facebook to promote is like I'm close to the edge of the friend limit thing. So that's probably not. So the Instagram would probably be better because that's an unlimited. If anybody wants.
Unfortunately, I don't check my Instagram messages.
But you can.
All right, we'll stick with Twitter DM.
Yeah, that's fine. But you can add.
Unless we want to just exchange cell phone numbers at some point, we can just text each other that way.
We exchange landline numbers.
Brian gave me his cell phone. Yeah. Sorry. All right, so Star Trek, right? So we can do the Vulcan salute, right?
Oh yeah, that's like this. Is it this?
Yes, but you do have to. The thumb needs to go out a bit. There we go, and then we just say "Live long and prosper, mi amigo," or in your case, oh shoot, I forgot how to say friend in Hindi. Did I ever know?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Okay, well, live long and prosper. Oh, great soul. Oh, Maharishi Arya. Oh, and yes, and then we can just find each other on the astral plane when we're meditating in
Yeah,
full
I'll
lotus
see you there.
posture.
Well, I don't know about that from my end, but yes.
Okay. We shall meet again.
I'm a meditation princess. I like to be comfortable, you know.
Okay. Okay, you'll be on your little soft little cushy pillow
Yes.
chair, and
Yeah.
I'll be on my bed of nails.
Wow. Getting a tattoo on your ankle.
Yeah. All right, sir. Till
All right.
next time.
Pranakasha Production. Fantastic creations emerging spontaneously from the space of life. For the benefit of all beings everywhere. We got it.